Why do we suffer? Why do we suffer? I'll try to answer this from a non-dual perspective. First of all, let's look at what is suffering. What is suffering? What is the difference between pain and suffering? The simple difference between pain and suffering is that pain is physical and suffering is mental, right? And a lot of times they both happen together. For instance, if you fall down and you get wounded, you will have both pain and suffering. On a physical level, you will feel the wound. Your nerves will register the damage that has been done to your body, and they will send sharp signals to your brain of this injury. And that is what causes pain. Pain happens as an intense sensation, and it's transmitted by nerves to the brain. And pain happens on a physical level. But the suffering is the fear and anxiety and discomfort that we feel about it mentally. That is suffering. And the suffering that we'll talk about today is pure suffering, right? When there's no physical ailment as such, but we suffer from things like jealousy or intense anger towards somebody or envy, even sadness, a deep sadness due to a loss that has happened to us. The loss could be on a personal relationship front, or it could be a financial loss, but we suffer due to it, right? And for such suffering, there is no medicine, right? We can't take a pill and forget about it. I mean, there are antidepressants and anti-anxiety pills these days, but all of those, they compromise your mental state basically. So it's not just anxiety that you don't feel a lot of things. It just dulls you mentally. But let's look at why suffering really happens. And I'll give you a non-dual explanation for it. Any non-dual explanation assumes the fact that non-duality is the truth and then derives an explanation for what we observe. And the core of non-duality is that there is no two, right? If you look at the nature of these sufferings, it is just because you feel envious of somebody, or you feel anxious about a situation, or you feel deep hatred for someone, or deep anger or resentment against a person, right? There is always the me and the other. This relationship always happens between me and the other, the self and the not self. But non-duality says that there is no two, right? It is only because we assume the sufferer that we suffer. We assume the role of a separate individual self. That is why we suffer. You are the existence in its totality, everything. But you assume a separate self. You think you are the body because of the way the body feels. It feels the sensations of the world, and that part which feels these sensations, which is your body, along with all the organs, right, the senses, that is what you assume as yourself, right? Because you can feel it. You can even feel your emotions. That is why you think the mind is also you. And this mind-body complex is what you think you are. You assume it to be yourself. And this assumption is so deep-rooted, it is so strong that you don't think of it to be not real. You think this is reality. This is me. And this sense, this false assumption itself is called the ego. And the ego always tries to protect the story of me being a separate individual unit walking through this world of all the other things that I cannot feel without contacting them. So just study this relationship between you and the other, and you will see all problems are born because of this. The ego gives rise to all sorts of suffering, and we assume an ego because of just how we feel. A bodily feeling makes us think that we are this body. An emotional feeling makes us think we are this mind, or this mind is ours. It's all the ego. The ego itself is non-existent. It is just an assumption. You are not separate from the undivided existence there is. You are all of it. But you outline a specific part of this existence and you call it you call it me, and then comparison starts. The me gives rise to mine and yours, and I try to beget things for myself to increase what is mine. The difference between the me and the you widens. All sorts of emotions creep in, all sorts of deductions keep happening, and that is really the cause of our suffering. And various philosophies of the world, they explain this in different ways. For instance, Advaita Vedanta says that ignorance is the root cause of all suffering. In our ignorance, we outline a specific part of existence and call it as me, and that just gives rise to suffering. That just gives rise to duality that is not there. But in our mind, we assume duality because we assume a separate self due to our ignorance. Buddhism would say that attachment is the root cause of all suffering. And that is also true. Because we assume a duality of the me and the other, we develop an attachment to things that we call as mine, things that we think should belong to us, things that we get attracted towards, things that we want to protect for ourselves. And this sort of attachment leads to suffering. We are in a constant chase of these things, or we become enslaved by the duties to protect and maintain these things. And when I say these things, they are not limited to just objects. It includes everything like people, pets, things, objects, money, everything that you consider as the not you, but should belong to you. That is how attachment gives rise to suffering. And it's all the same. The root cause really is the ego, right? The sense of a separate self. That gives rise to all this suffering, mental suffering. A wound to the body causing you pain is understandable. And the suffering related to it is also understandable because you are anxious what will happen to your body. But just suffering without any pain, which accounts for most of our suffering, is just because of a false assumption, ego. So this false assumption done in ignorance, an ignorance that we are all born with, but we have to find our way out of it to be truly free. So think about it. Think about the suffering that you go through on a daily basis. All your ambitions, all of your unfulfilled desires, or the desires that you are joyfully chasing, all the things that give you grief, all the things that keep you engaged, enslaved. What is the root cause of it all? It is this assumed separation when there is no separation at all. It is one undivided reality that you should know as yourself, completely and in its totality. Not a specific part, but all of it. All of it. And it takes time to believe it. It takes time for the conviction to set in, because our senses and our mind tell us otherwise. They keep telling us that it's all separate forms that are visible to us, that we've known for all of our lives. So for this conviction to set in deep in our hearts, it takes regular derivation. You must derive this conclusion every day, every waking moment, every time you can, that you are not a separate entity in existence. You are all of it. All of it. There is no two. That is non-duality.